In this exercise, we're going to be discussing editing model dimensions. So we've already had the chance to bring the dimensions in. If you still have that drawing open, you can use that retrieve dimension drawing. If not, we can come in here and use the edit model dimension drawing and just select your dimensions again. It's good practice to bring them back in. You hit OK. And then to be able to edit a dimension, it's pretty simple. You just select the dimension, right click, and say edit model dimension. It's not the same as just editing the dimension, which you'll see up above there. Right here you see edit. We're actually going to edit model dimension. If you just come in here and you select edit here, this is going to be kind of about the text and precision and tolerances and things like that. If you say edit model dimension, this is what it brings up and asks us, okay, what size do you want it to be? I say 55 instead of 50, and it edits the actual model dimension. Now, with that being said, you can do some dimensions and not others. That one works out pretty well. If I come in here and say edit this one, I edit it out to 35, it works okay. But if I come in here, say edit dimension, and I go to 55, I'm going to get an error. And what happens there is you break the rules or the design intent of the part, because now it's going to be inverting on itself and dogs and cats are going to be living together and bad things are going to happen. You can see there once I hit OK, it just completely blows the model away because it destroys it. Inventor doesn't know how to handle that, and so it just removes it from the earth and dust to dust and ashes to ashes and all that kind of good stuff. When you edit the model dimension in the drawing, remember that you're changing the parametric dimension of the model. Changing the dimension in the drawing environment has the same effect as changing the dimension in the modeling environment. Constraints are reevaluated and the geometry is updated in the 3D model in the drawing to reflect the new value. That's one of the warnings from Autodesk. In other words, be very careful how you edit things, because as you go through and edit these, not only are you editing the part over here, so if I come in here and I select this dimension, say edit, go to 55 there, you can see it just kind of goes crazy on me. Make sure that you type in millimeters. See, it'll get a little bit bigger there. Now I can actually edit this dimension. So I get something like that. If I come over here and look at my part, you can see what happened. My little slice here is gone. So if this was some kind of forced block or something like that where I actually wanted that to be able to bend, it will no longer bend. It sealed itself off because we extended that out. You can see what happens to our little all-brown there. Our little flat face is pretty much gone. Our all-brown gets destroyed. So you can see there's a lot of stuff that happens in there that you may not even notice in here. So be very careful what you're doing. Even if it looks okay in here, make sure you type in millimeters because this is an imperial template that we're working in right now, but it's a metric drawing. If everything looked okay in here, and even if the part looked okay here, if this is in an assembly, we could actually do some pretty bad damage to it. So we want to be careful in how we edit these things. I try not to edit any dimensions in here. To me, if you're editing a dimension, you need to be in the model. There's a reason we created in the model, and that's where you need to be editing everything. Otherwise, we wouldn't need the model. We would still be in 2D CAD. So go back to the model to edit whenever possible. Don't edit in here. The only reason I wanted to show this to you is just to show you that you can edit it and that it is possible to do that. I have ran across something on occasion where I'm working and I do the drawing and I realize, oh man, I forgot, I meant to change this from 0.98. I wanted to round this up to 1 inch. And I meant to do that in the model. And just to save time, I will go in here and do things like that. But very, very rarely do I do that. I actually try to avoid doing that whenever possible because it can get messy really quickly. I'll try to go back to the model and edit my original. So be very careful as you're editing your dimensions in your drawing. But come in here and do it, play around with it, edit some things, and see what happens whenever you do change those. I encourage you to open up the actual model and watch what happens. So we'll edit it here. And we'll go back over here and look at the model. If you don't have the model open, you can just come up here and right click and say open. So right clicking on the part itself, say open, and it'll open up the model for you in another window. So now you can actually see what you're doing to the drawing and see what's happening to the model itself. So play with this, see what happens, watch your results, cause and effect, and all that kind of good stuff, and see where these dimensions can be very powerful and very dangerous.